paparazzi have been taking photos of me since I was like out of my mom's stomach. Like it's very like literally like while I was like on my first birthday, the paparazzi like sang me happy birthday.
Oh, are you serious?
Yes, no, I'm serious. I've always it's always been the normal for me, but it does get old. I would
Wow.
say like the most like part that's just like annoying, like I guess if like you leave your house to like get breakfast, my mom and I we went to go to this new cafe that opened up, and I didn't obviously I was in like my pajamas because we like went out, and then there was like so many paparazzis like taking photos of us like eating.
Oh
Like
my gosh, no.
yeah, that's the part that can be a little annoying.
Hello, everyone, and welcome back to Do I Know You? I missed you all so much. I hope you've been having beautiful weeks. If you haven't, if you've been down in the dumps, good thing we're back with one of my favorite interviews yet. Y'all, they're all my favorites, so don't try to be messy boots. They're all my favorites. I am so thrilled and deeply honored, honestly, to have my new friend, Lola Sheen, on Do I Know You this week. Lola is a star, y'all. I'm obsessed with Lola. So actually, we'll talk about how we met, so I'll save that. But I just literally think she's like an angel on earth. She is so like sweet spirited. That's the only way I can describe her. And we get into a lot. Y'all, Lola's life is, there's a lot going on. So let's get into it. Her mom is Denise Richards, who is a model. She's an actress. She's been in a bunch of blockbuster movies, TV shows. You might know her from Real Housewives of Beverly Hills. Like, she's everywhere. Her dad is Charlie Sheen. So big actor. And her grandfather is Martin Sheen. So you can see that she's literally born, conceived into the industry. And there's a lot that comes with that. A lot of headlines, a lot of paparazzi, which we'll get into all of that. But yeah, she has just managed to literally live such a life full of joy and love for the Lord, which we talked about off camera. But like literally, I think y'all will be able to see immediately just how incredibly precious she is. So I'm so excited for y'all to see it, to meet her. So without further ado, meet Lola Sheen. Lola, hello! How are you?
Good, how are you?
So good. I'm so happy to have you on. I've told you 10 times, but I'm obsessed with you. I think you're the best.
Oh my God, thank you. I'm so excited to be here. I'm so happy that we got to do this, and I can't wait.
I
So,
cannot wait as well. Y'all, I'm just gonna be very honest. Lola and I had like an hour-long phone conversation,
we
like what,
did.
2 weeks ago or something, and we were like, we love each other. So this is going to be very
Yeah. Literally, we're like, we're ready, best friends.
I know. We have to shout out. Okay, so we have a mutual friend, Casey Curtis. We have to
Yeah.
shout her out because she's the one that made the connection happen. So shout out to you, Casey, because you did something
Yes.
magical,
Oh
literally.
no, she did completely. I'm so glad that we got to connect.
Me
So,
too. Me too. All right. Well, let's just jump in. I have so many questions for you. I guess like let's just start off at like a very high level. Your parents had like one of the most public relationships, and your life was on
yes.
display from a very young age. I'm telling you this like you don't already know, but just to level set with our viewers,
Right.
like with your mom on Real Housewives of Beverly Hills, your mom and dad in films and TV shows and all these things, like I imagine getting private moments was something that you all had to probably fight for, right?
Oh yeah.
Mm.
Yes. Privacy was definitely something that wasn't um usual. It was something that was very like, you know, privacy, like a lot of things that were online. I've always been more like I've never talked much on Instagram, and I've never like shared a lot of things with my personal life because
Mm.
it can get out like in a second. So, but with
Mm.
my family, it's always been out there. And sometimes when I'll go to school and like things were going on, everybody would be like talking about it. But I've always kept my like friend life and like, what I do as private as I can, just because people can say like the wrong things, or like the most like annoying part was just things that like weren't true, that were like all over online, and then everybody would be talking about it, and I'm just like it just
It's
it gets
awful.
great. Oh yeah, no, totally. Like it's definitely something, especially with like paparazzi or whatever, like privacy is something that like it's very rare, but
I'm
yeah.
sure. I'm sure. Okay, so
Yeah.
many things I want to hit on what you just said. First of all, the school comment. I felt like honestly, sometimes like I don't know, like with my brother being in sports, I think you just have so much misinformation, like you with your parents in media. Like there's just so much that's incorrect. And I found that I would go to school and people would try to like tell me that I'm wrong. Like, oh
Oh
no, you
yeah.
don't actually know what's happening. Like this is, I'm like, why would I
Yes.
be wrong?
Literally. I'm the one who like is a part of my family. Like why wouldn't I know? You know?
Literally, I'm like, you're trying to fight me with like a tweet. Like, no.
I can't. That happens to me too. Like even like when I
Really?
was at school and things were going on, they would like tell me what's happening and I'm like, but like how do you think I don't know? Like
Like,
yeah.
babe, like this is literally my life.
Like, this is my life. Like I'm not like
Yeah.
yeah. So that's
No,
another thing.
totally. I can totally see that. And then like to the point of like paparazzi and blogs and all that, like I mean like just you know, you can literally like Google your name on YouTube and it's like Lola and mom go to lunch. Lola and dad go to concert. And I'm just like, how
Yes.
is this news? Like how fast for you does that get old?
I've had it since I was born pretty much. It's never been something that I had to like get used to. I've always just like it's just been my normal. I actually have to get used to like feeling normal at times because it's weird. It's like even like if I work in a restaurant right now and even like just feeling more like normal and not like always looked at is such a foreign feeling for me because it's always
Mm.
been like my whole life it's been very like out there and paparazzi. I mean, paparazzi have been taking photos of me since I was like out of my mom's stomach. Like it's very like like literally like while I was like on my first birthday, the paparazzi like sang me happy birthday.
Oh, are you serious?
Yes, no, I'm serious. I've always it's always been the normal for me, but it does get old. I would
Wow.
say like the most like part that's just like annoying, like I guess if like you leave your house to like get breakfast, my mom and I we went to go to this new cafe that opened up and I didn't obviously I was in like my pajamas because we like went out and then there was like so many paparazzis like taking photos of us like eating.
Oh
Like
my gosh, no.
yeah, that's the part that can be a little annoying. It's just like a little old. It's just like,
Yeah.
you know, when you
No,
want to go out and just like do something or like you don't feel your best and then they take photos and I'm just like, ah, like yeah.
literally,
And
I
that
think
was
that would be like
yeah.
my problem is I only like to be photographed from the left. So if they got me from the right,
I'm on the left side too. I can't do the right side. It's actually really funny.
that's so okay. So if we ever take a pic together, we're both gonna have to stand like this because
Oh
neither of
no,
us can go from
literally. Literally. No right side angle. I
no right siding. It's such a bad angle.
no.
And I just feel
It's so
like
bad.
I don't know, what do you do? Like it's clearly I've only had a few experiences like that, like definitely not near as many as you, but I just like, do I wave? Do I like acknowledge them? Do I not? It's such a weird
Right.
thing.
It's really weird. When I was younger, my friends and I would like always wave at them and like laugh because it was just funny.
So
But now I just like smile, I guess. I'm just like walk by and it's really hard not to laugh though, because they're just like in your face, like, taking photos. Like I'm so not serious with that stuff. So it's really funny. But
and I literally laugh in awkward situations, so I don't know if I can keep a
oh,
straight face.
oh no, same. I'm the same way. I cannot be serious when it feels awkward. So
Oh my
yeah.
gosh, this is your real life. So I know when we talked on the phone, we talked a lot about like how we like enjoy being around people, but we need that alone time.
Yeah.
I would think like for me, it comes from a lot of things. Probably just a lot of it stems from the sense of like control. There's so much of a narrative that like I can't control, but like my time with myself is like what I can have control over. Do you think it might be similar for you growing up in such a spotlight?
Yeah, that's actually very like I'm glad that you said that because I feel like when a lot of things feel out of control. I talk about this with my therapist all the time. Like we're always trying to find certain things that we can control ourselves because a lot of things can feel out of control and that can cause a lot of anxiety. So even with my alone time, I do prioritize that a lot because my social battery is very short and yeah, literally very small. Like after like a hangout, I need to like go to bed. Like, no, but I think it's from everything. It's very tiring and it can be draining. So I definitely love alone time and just like recharging because
Yeah.
even just like with everything going on, it can be very draining, and it's so important to like take care of yourself because it can be a lot.
It can
So,
be a lot. And like you are
yeah,
so wise, I feel like, to know this already because I mean, I talk to parents and like older people that are still, and it might be a lifelong struggle, but like that still haven't even grasped this concept. And so this
right.
actually leads me to my next question, which I wish more people would ask me. And I assume you'll probably feel the same way. Like, how does this violation of boundaries and just all the noise impact your mental health?
I would say I definitely I've always had anxiety growing up. I've dealt with it pretty much my whole life, like when I was younger. And it definitely, as I got older, especially with social media, it can definitely get more challenging to handle. And I've I've become more aware when I start to feel kind of low at times, and
Mm,
I'm just like, okay, I need to take time for myself and
right.
just like breathe and just like do something self-caring.
Mm,
And it's really important. It's taught me like whenever, my family will go through things and it's all online.
mm.
I feel like sometimes I'm not even aware of how much it can impact my mental health because it's just so normal. But, and then I'm like, why am I so anxious? Like, why do I feel kind of just like really low lately? And I'm like, well, it's probably because your family, like, drama is all over.
Literally,
Like, no
literally.
wonder. Yeah. So definitely, like, I've learned, especially in like other situations in life, like, I've gotten more like anxiety through like big crowds and just like
Mm,
big hangouts, like kind of stress me out. I think just because I've always been around a lot of people. So it's been
right.
something that's just like I just want to be alone. But but like it's so important to like recharge and just like because I don't know, especially with social media again, like it can affect your mental health really, really a lot. So
Really bad. Do you ever like take social media breaks? Like I know sometimes I'm like, I'm deleting Instagram for like 2 weeks. And even though sometimes
oh
I'll be
yeah.
bored, I'm like, it's better than being on the app.
Yes, especially like TikTok too. Like that is just like a whole like I compare myself, I think, every video I see, and I don't even realize it. And I'm just looking and I'm like, oh yeah, like she is like her skin looks so good, or her hair, and like nobody shows like real stuff. Especially
Mm-hmm.
with like online, like I don't know, like my mom, like growing up in the industry, like every girl always looked like perfect hair and perfect skin. And then I always was just like, oh, like, why am I like working out then isn't normal if like I
Wow,
just
yeah.
body, I'm just like, what is going on? But it's just like nothing is real online. Like
Yeah.
there's like that's what I had to learn. Like even I posted, sorry, I have cats.
You're fine.
But
I love them.
like fighting. I posted this Instagram photo and my skin looked like perfect and glowy. And I was like, and I'm like dealing with some things with my skin right now, but like it just shows that nothing is real online?
That's
So
so true. That's
yeah,
so true. Everything's literally made up, everything's filtered. And like, do I take part in it? Yeah, I do. So it's like I
yeah.
can recognize the problem, but then I'm also part of the problem. It's so
No,
weird.
same, literally. But no, definitely like I have to take social media breaks a lot, especially like when there's like things going on with my family and like I see it all over. I'm like, I'm just gonna put my phone in a drawer for like 2 weeks and not even look at it,
Totally.
which I've had to
Totally.
do before because it can be way
Mhm.
too draining.
I
And
can
it's
imagine. I can totally imagine. You said something that was really interesting to me about your mom being on like in the industry and on like magazine covers, all that. I guess I never really thought about like my connection or like my family in the spotlight is like a brother who plays basketball. So beauty is not really a thing that
right.
filters in that way. But I guess I never really thought about the impact that would have on you seeing, your mom, your beautiful mom. And I'm sure she had conversations with you, like telling you you're beautiful and all those things, but like what that would do to your self esteem as you break out and like go through puberty and all the things. Like that's tough.
Yeah, especially because a lot of the things that I see of my mom are her when she's a little bit older, and it's not her at like this stage that I'm in. So
Right.
it's, yeah, it definitely like when I see her getting her hair and makeup and like all these girls looking like beautiful and like being around that, it can be very like, can make you feel really insecure and kind
Mm.
of just like alone in that feeling. Cause I was like, also my sister, she does, shoots with my mom and she never really dealt with acne either. So then I'm
Mm.
just like looking at all these people like on red carpets, like pretty much since I was like born. And
Wow.
And so I've grown up always seeing like so many beautiful like girls everywhere. And I'm just like, I just feel like, it can make you feel really insecure. And I'm
It
just like, oh,
can.
yeah, my mom, like, she looks so beautiful. And then I would compare myself to her even when she was like on magazine covers. So that was definitely a big part of it, actually. But
Wow, I can totally see
yeah.
that. I guess that's also where the importance of like friends to build you up, and obviously your
Yes.
family built you up as well, but like really being sure of who you are, like that's I feel like where that really comes in, right?
Oh yeah, no,
Yeah.
definitely. I feel like it's definitely finding yourself. And, we talked about this on the phone. I think it was just like feeling always like kind of like in the shadows and like, so I was definitely just like sometimes for me being in the shadows, it kind of forced me to find myself on
Mm.
my own kind of and kind of just figure out like what I like and that authentic like being authentic and having acne and whatever it's not beautiful like it's not
Yeah.
great it's not
It's
not
not
beautiful
it's not
there's still
exactly.
beautiful yeah like you don't need to have all this makeup on and like these like perfect outfits all the time to feel pretty like you can be pretty
Right.
like with nothing on and so I had to learn
Totally.
that
I
yeah
love that, Lola. And it
oh
honestly
thank
reminds
you
me of course, it reminds me of on TikTok how people will come on like right after they woke up and they'll like say something and they're like, sorry, excuse my appearance. But it's just their
I
normal
know.
skin.
Yes, I literally know. That's, oh my God, that's so true. Even right now, there was like this whole thing of like glass skin. And I'm just like, looking at like all these people with glass skin. And I'm like, what is going on? Like, why doesn't mine look like glass? And I'm like,
Right.
maybe because it's skin. It's not glass.
Because it's not glass.
Because it's literally not glass. Like I was talking about this with one of my best friends like the other night, and we were like, yeah, like whenever I do put things on my skin to make it more glowy, I break out. So like
So
I
what
can't
are
have
you
like the glass skin look either way, you know? So
that's so
yeah,
funny. And
I
even
know.
like the makeup influencers put a filter on TikTok.
I know. It's no, literally like the standards for beauty have gone up, I feel like so much recently, even with like
Yeah.
I mean, I'm sure like guys have their own insecurities, but with girls, it's kind of different. It's just like very like, I don't know, the makeup and like having the right products and the right hair products. Like it's a lot of pressure.
It's a
So
lot. It's a lot. Especially
yeah.
like you grew up like in the LA area. Do you feel like it like creeped into like because I grew up in the Midwest, so stuff came into school and all this stuff, but it was never like life or death. Do you feel like you
Right.
probably feel the pressure even more maybe because you're in the area?
I mean, yeah, definitely. Like I
Yeah.
feel like even going out with friends, like my friend and I were just talking about this. Like obviously with my like closest friends and Sarah, like Casey's sister,
Yeah.
she's like my best friend. I can look however like I am and I don't care what I look like because we're like
Right.
I've been here forever. But definitely when I go out in more like bigger groups with people in this area, I do feel way more like insecure and just like looked at. But yeah, I was talking to my friend Layla and she said this thing about like your inner like mammoth and it was just like yourself that's like always critiquing yourself but everybody has that so that's something that's helped me is like when you go out and I'm like oh my god do I look a certain way like are people looking at me like everybody else is
Mm.
thinking that pretty much
Mm.
so like that's what I've been trying to remind myself it's just like what maybe if today I don't feel my best nobody really cares what you look like and if they do
So
then they're
true.
probably just insecure
Oh,
so
so true. So
yeah
true. People project.
yeah no, literally, people project whatever you give out, like usually is the way that you're feeling on the inside. So
Ooh, Lola, you're reading
yeah.
them right now, and you're
It's
so
true though.
it's so
Like I talk
good.
about this with my therapist a lot. Like whenever, like, cause I'd be with friends and I'm like, oh, like, why are they saying this stuff that's like making me
Mm.
insecure? And she's like, well, yeah, that's probably what they see in themselves. So don't take it personally.
So your therapist is amazing because that's so
She
true, and I feel like I've noticed that recently, like by who I tell good news to. So I don't know if you feel this, but I think there have been moments in my life, like in the last 6 months, where like the last 6 months have been like really like a lot has been happening in my life. And so I'll tell people, and I just notice I like get a really weird reaction or it comes from a really weird place. And it's upsetting because you're like, oh, like I thought you're my friend. I want you to be happy for me. But it's like, I don't know. I don't want to put that burden on you. And I was telling my therapist this, and she was like, why are you worried about how they respond? She's like, we need to focus on I statements. So, however
is
you want to show up, however you want to say things to people, all these things is fine, but know that like you can't place an expectation on them for how they respond. And like if they
Right.
respond in a way that's like weird and jealous, take a note and maybe
Yes.
don't tell them the next time.
That's actually really wise that you say that, because even for me, like whenever I'll tell like exciting information and people kind of like put me down and just don't really like, I don't get that reaction that I want.
Yeah.
And I've learned to just not really expect a reaction from people, because
Mhm.
usually like I can end up feeling kind of hurt because I'm like,
Yeah,
well, I'm
same.
excited. Like I thought they were going to be excited for me, but I don't know. I've learned, like I have few people that I can tell like exciting news
Right.
and they're like, oh my God, I'm so happy for you. But other people can be like, and try to like kind of make me feel like not as great as I did about it in the beginning. And I'm just like, oh,
Mhm.
like I guess like it isn't that exciting. And I'm like, no, it is though. Like, why am I letting
It
them?
is.
Yeah, but that's so true though. Like that happens a lot. And
It
it's very
does.
like, yeah.
It
Or I can
does.
feel like a burden. Like when I like say it, I'm like, oh, like did I bother them? Like maybe I shouldn't have acted too much. And then it's really like it has nothing to do with you. It's
At
just like
all.
at all, at all.
Yeah. At all. Period. At
Like
all.
literally at all. Like nothing to do with you. Like
You're
it is
so
all
right.
their own, like yeah,
Yeah. No, you're
insecurity.
absolutely right. And I think about the times like I've probably been guilty of that too. Like when I have stuff going on and someone tells me something, like I can probably picture a few times like in high school where someone would tell me something and like because of my own insecurities, my own stuff, I wasn't as happy for them, you know? So it is something I feel like we mature out of, but everyone just does it at
Yeah.
different times.
And that's good that even you say like that you have maybe done that before, because like
Mhm.
even being aware of that, a lot of people can't be. And I've definitely probably done that when I've been at a lower state. I definitely have maybe not always been like as enthusiastic for my friends because I just felt bad. And I
Right.
definitely have done that before for sure. But I feel like being
Yeah.
aware is really important, because then you grow and you can, when people make you feel that way, like when you are excited and people make you feel a little less excited, then you can be like, oh, well, I don't want to make somebody feel the way that they made me
Right.
feel. So,
Completely agree. And like
yeah.
this piece of self-awareness is something that we talked a lot about on the phone. Like
We did. Yes. Oh my God. Definitely. So,
let's like get into it a little bit because I do think
yes.
there's this self-awareness that maybe is lacking a little bit amongst the masses and especially just in our positions and especially in yours like how have you seen a lack of self-awareness kind of manifest around you maybe when it comes to like your family or people asking just really stupid invasive questions or all that.
Right. Even just like when I feel like for me, I've had to be really aware of myself, just because I feel like so many people around me for a really long time just aren't aware of like questions that they ask, or just like, like pushing my boundaries. So I've always learned like awareness at a very young age, I feel like. And, other people like, I remember like when things would be going on like in the news or like on Instagram, and people will like really start asking like really personal questions. I'm just like, how are you not aware of the way that that can maybe trigger somebody, or like
Yes.
someone, or even just little things like if people are just like, we'll just say something like, oh, like I remember when I did start working, a lot of people were like, oh, like, why would you need to work if your parents were like, like in the industry? And I'm like, how are you not aware of what that can like do to somebody?
That is a wild question.
Yeah, I'm like, maybe because like I just want to. Like, it's just little things people just don't think about. And even just like, I don't know, just like even with like makeup or like skin, like I would be like, let's say like I'm breaking out, and like my friend and I talk about this all the time. Like maybe somebody who has like really, really clear skin would start talking about how like they're breaking out, but like they can see that your
Oh,
skin
I hate
is
when people do
dark.
that.
And I'm just like, do you not see that like I like have worse skin than you? Like what?
Literally.
Literally, just like things like that. Like I feel like people just aren't aware of, and it's so like it can be very like isolating, because you're like, oh, like, and then you kind of start believing like what they're saying. You're like, oh,
Totally.
maybe my skin, like I need better skin, or maybe like,
Mm,
like even with my job, I'm like, oh, I guess it is weird if I'm like
mm,
working, but it's not. It's
it's
like
not.
I, you know, but
Especially because,
yeah,
whew, okay, one thing on the skin is like, I've had that happen to me multiple times, like when I'm not wearing makeup or whatever, and like the exact situation. And then
Yeah.
I'll say something. I'll be like, "Oh, okay. Well, your skin looks great. Look at mine." You're like, "No," you're like, "No, yours is great." I'm like, "But you just said that your three bumps were awful."
Oh my God, literally, that is so true. Literally, like, no, yours is perfect. Don't worry. I'm like, but it's not. You can clearly see it's not.
Like, why are we lying? Like,
Literally, why are we lying? My friend and I say that all the time, and it's so true. Like, literally, like, it makes no sense to me.
it's
But
really, really weird.
yes,
Like,
yeah, it's really weird. It's like I don't understand. Like, why are you looking at my face?
me either. I'm like, you can't cover it up, babe. But also, like, to the point about you working, I feel like, first of all, wild question. And second of all, I'm like, if you weren't working, they would call you like a Nepo baby that like lives off her parents. And if you
Yes.
are, then it's like a problem. Like, that's
Yeah.
why it's just like you literally cannot please people. Like, you just have to live a
No.
life for you.
And I really did learn that because I'm a very big people pleaser and I'm working on that, but I've
Yeah.
definitely been like lately learning that like, I don't need to always constantly please everybody because that's just going to make me feel like my cup feel empty all the time. If I'm constantly giving and trying to please everybody, then I won't have anything left. Like if I'm just giving
Yeah.
and giving and just like trying to make sure I do everything right. And almost like it's almost feeling like getting validation and just being like, oh yeah, like I don't know, just like people pleasing, I feel like it can be coming from a part of just like wanting to just do everything right and kind of validate yourself. Like, oh, yeah, like I don't know how to explain it, but it's just like just constantly doing everything like okay and being like,
Yeah.
maybe it came from something to do with when I was younger, of just like maybe feeling like I wasn't always doing enough. And
Mm.
so pleasing everybody else, like, oh, yeah, I need to always be doing everything for other people. But that can leave you feeling really like low and just like, you don't always need to do everything for everybody and like feeling like you need to always be your 100% for everybody, because
Totally.
it can drain you
Totally.
really bad.
Yes,
So,
and you have an empty cup. And that was something I noticed, not that particularly, but after we talked on the phone, I remember thinking, I was like, Lola is just so sweet. Like, I just remember
oh,
thinking like your
thank
spirit,
you.
you're welcome, but seriously, it's just like so sweet. And I guess in a world where it's very easy to become callous and hard and bitter because of all the
Yes.
mess around, like, I guess I'm curious, like, how have you stayed soft and gentle in a
That was so sweet.
seriously,
I
because I just admire that. So I can become very like mean at times when people try to play me. I'm working
Oh,
on
but
that. God is
you're so
working on that.
sweet too, though. But like,
Thank you, Lola.
uh,
But I think you're very gentle spirited, and I'm just curious, like, is that something that's natural for you?
I've always had like a very natural,
Mm.
I'm a very big empath, and it's
Mm.
very easy for me to feel other people's emotions. And so I've always been really aware of the way that I, treat people. And I just like always just like, I think it was because when I was growing up, maybe I never really felt like I was, with the industry and like everything,
Wow.
maybe I didn't feel as nurtured as I wanted to. And I just like, as I felt like I should have been, just because of like the industry and everything can be a lot. And I'm just like, maybe I just didn't feel like I got that from other people. So I think I just wanted to give that to everybody else. And like, I
Mm.
feel like I was just, you know, I've definitely experienced a lot of things with mental health, and I've gone through a lot of ups and downs with feeling like good and then, maybe kind of really low. And a year ago, I went through a really hard time mentally, and it really just taught me like, it made me very empathic for a lot of other people who are maybe just like going through things, even when people are like, not that nice to me. I'm just like, you know what? That's not worth my time. I'm not going to let that
Mm.
affect my mood. And
Wow.
like, maybe they're just dealing with something that I don't even know about. But I've always had a very like, I don't know, a lot of people say it's like an old soul thing.
Yeah.
And I think it is. Like, I just like, I just don't really let other people make me like angry. I mean,
Mm.
obviously, like anger is something that I don't think it's bad to get angry because I think it just comes from a place of feeling like hurt.
Mm.
And um, but definitely like, I don't know, I've always just saw people like I've always felt their emotions, and I don't know, I've always just been able to understand a lot of people, I feel
I
like.
love that.
And yeah, even when people come to me and talk about like how do you stay so like okay and positive with like everything going on? Because
Yeah.
you see a lot of people who, you know, aren't as positive who have been in the same position as me. And they're just like, how do you stay so optimistic and like nice? And I'm just like,
Yeah.
well, just, you know, it's all about finding yourself, I feel like, you know, and finding what you like. And yeah, it's very hard though. It's not easy to, you know, find yourself through
Right,
everything.
right,
It's hard. It's definitely a journey and it's not linear at all. But
right.
I feel like maybe even like going through some things like, you know, in the past year mentally, it's
Yeah.
really taught me to really just like focus on what I like and my passions. And when you're happy on the inside, like you can be happy and you can like help others. But
So
I learned,
true.
yeah, like when you're like, you know, doing a lot of self work and healing and everything, like you're also doing that so you can like, you know, let others in and invite them and like try to help them heal and like, you know, make them feel like okay. And
Yeah.
so yeah, but I
That's
don't know if it's,
beautiful. And
oh, thank
I
you.
just admire that so much because I do think we live in a world and in the industry and everything where people will just take, take, take. Like they're not going to stop because they're like, oh, I'm nice. I'm
Oh
going to
yeah.
stop. Like they're going to take until there's nothing left. And so by you holding on to your power and holding on to the ability to like bring joy to your day and not letting anyone take that from you, that's like literally a superpower
Oh,
because
thank
you're
you.
setting seriously because you're setting a boundary like no 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 like you're gonna try
Yeah.
to take me out with this like headline. You're gonna try to take me out with this in the news or whatever, but like I'm in control of how I can make myself
Yes.
feel. Yeah.
You know, that's so true. And it's very important. I feel like I had
Mm.
to learn that really young because, you know, if I was listening to everything that everybody was saying since I was younger, I would not love myself at all. Like I would be like,
Yeah.
I am all those comments or like, you know, so
Yeah.
it's very like I feel like it I've just always had to have such a good head on my shoulders for that stuff and always just like remember that like you know, whatever people say, like it doesn't matter. Like that is literally like their own situation that they're dealing with.
Yeah.
So even
That's
like
amazing.
even when like I'm not doing the best, like I've learned I'm like, okay, like maybe somebody said something, maybe I just need to take time to like that's why self-care is so important because then maybe if you're like, you know, you don't take that time for yourself and you feel maybe burnt out, then I feel like
Mm.
I can't be as like I can't feel myself and like I
Totally.
can't you know what I mean? I can't like be around my friends and I can't feel as like
Yeah.
enthusiastic like we talked about.
Right.
So
Right. I
it's a lot
love
though.
that, Lola. And I admire you for so many reasons, but I think especially that because that's literally huge. And I guess I just want to spotlight you a little more. Like, what excites you, like, and just gets you up in the morning? I know we've talked about separately just like some of your passions. I would just love for you to
Right.
share with our
Oh,
viewers.
thank you. I would say something that excites me. I don't know if this is like basic, but I've always loved like sunlight and nature,
Mm.
anything to do with like outside. I think it's because I've always been so sucked into like phones and like social media.
Yeah.
I've turned the other direction.
Yeah.
So it's definitely just like even when I wake up, usually like sometimes I'll journal and I'll just say some affirmations just to like kind of get myself to like a good headspace. And that really excites me of just like, you know, just like putting out good energy in the morning instead of
Yeah.
just like going on my phone, which I still do.
Right.
Obviously, I think everybody does.
Same.
You know,
Yeah.
I'm not gonna say I don't, but like, you know, it's important to still sometimes like just say like how I want my day to go and like
Mm.
and then I really do love just like being outside and anything that makes me like being around people who make me like laugh. And I
Yeah.
love something that excites me is ice cream. I love ice cream.
Same,
When I'm
girl.
having a bad day, I eat ice cream. Other than little things like at home, something that really excites me is traveling for sure. I love traveling. I recently fell in love with Hawaii and I went last September and just like the vibe there, like I think about it all the time when I'm here, but like the vibe there, it just like it really empowered me to just like I don't know, Hawaii, it's very like a real like raw place, I feel like.
Mm.
And a lot of people are just like laughing and happy and like, you know, the sun and like the ocean. And so I've always
Yeah.
loved like that vibe. And I've always like loved like going to the beach here and just like anything that makes me feel like my spirit feel more alive, you know?
Oh, I love
So,
that. That's like
yeah.
I'm gonna start saying that. What like makes my spirit feel alive?
Oh yeah. No, literally, like even when I'm like with people, I'm like, do I feel like okay right now? Like, how does my body feel? Like, does my spirit like feel okay? Like, it's just, I
Yeah.
always say, like, do things like for your soul every day, like something that is good for your soul, because it's true. Like, you have to.
You have
So,
to. That is
yeah.
amazing. I'm so happy. I've never been to Hawaii, but I want to go so badly. And I remember you saying on the phone, like, you were taking like surfboard lessons or like paddleboard lessons or
Oh
something.
my God.
You know what
Yeah.
I'm about to say?
Yes, I know what you're gonna say, literally, but you can say you want.
Well, no, I was gonna ask you
Yeah.
like y'all basically we were talking. Lola said like there were paparazzi on the beach or something while you were like in the water.
Yes. Oh my God. So the first time we went to Maui one time, and my sister, this is like something separately, but there was like a lot of paparazzi in Maui, but we didn't think that they would like follow us to like the beach.
Yeah.
And Sarah, we were like taking photos of my sister, and the paparazzi like got photos of us like taking photos of Sammy. And we were just like, what the heck? And then the next time we went to Hawaii, we went to Oahu, and me and Sarah were
Ooh.
like taking this like paddleboarding lesson. And I thought it was just gonna be like fun, like, like I wasn't expecting to have to be in an
No.
interview, but I'm like paddleboarding, you know? And he was just started talking about like, I think he just saw when I first like signed my name, maybe he saw the last name, or maybe he just knew, but he
Yeah.
just started bringing up like, oh yeah, like, so I heard like about your parents, like, what was that like? And I'm like trying
That
to
is
like enjoy my time in Hawaii. I don't really talk about my life story, but like, yeah.
what? I'm like, sir, please just
Yes.
teach me how to paddleboard.
What? I'm like, I don't even know what I'm doing right now. Like, I don't really want to talk about this. I'm like, yeah. So it was
Wow.
scary. Like, I was looking at Sarah. We were like, what the
What is
heck?
going
Like, I
on?
don't. I think we just like jumped in the water after, and he was just like, yeah, like, what was it like growing up? And I'm just like, why are
Uh,
you like? I get if you want to know, but like, it's kind of like inappropriate to ask that like when you're paddleboarding.
yeah, it's really
Yeah,
freaking inappropriate.
it's
Like,
really inappropriate.
yeah, yeah.
That's
Wow,
another thing, yeah, about like awareness, like how they're just like not a, yeah. So
girl. They
I was
are
just like,
not aware.
no.
I remember literally we were on the phone and I was telling you about like how at my job, like managers would ask me about I'm like, this is
Yes.
really inappropriate, especially considering the fact
Yeah.
that like you control my promotion cycle, you control all these things. So it's like if I don't answer with like if I don't provide you with an answer because I feel like that's violating my boundary, like is that going to affect how I
Right.
move through the company? Like it's just so inappropriate.
It's so inappropriate. And especially, I think you told me like how you didn't want to share certain things and they got mad at you. You think you told me that, right? I was like, who does that? Like, who gets mad at somebody for having boundaries? Like, isn't that what people like should be like trying to show others and like
Literally.
others? Like, what is, no, I think we talked about both like our managers or something.
We
What is,
did. Because we're like,
yeah.
what is going on? Why are you angry at me for, you know what? People get mad. It's like the projection thing. I've noticed the people who get most mad at me setting a boundary are people that have literally never even heard of boundaries. Like they would
Yes.
refuse to set them in their own lives. So it's like, babe, let me teach you a lesson, actually.
You know what? That's actually really smart that you say that, because now that I think about it, and people who
Mm,
are like constantly like pushing my boundaries, I'm like, maybe they don't have any in their own life. Like maybe that's just like how they are.
I agree. I literally
Yeah.
agree. You almost feel bad for them,
Yeah.
but it's also like, don't ask me, please.
Oh yeah, no, literally. I'm like, honestly, I feel empathy for you that you're not even aware of that. Because that's
Same.
kind of like, I don't know, it makes me sad that people don't have any boundaries. I'm like, are you just
Yeah.
constantly like sharing? Like,
Yeah,
I
the
don't know.
oversharing. It's really bad. That's why I'm like, you know what? If our lives and like this show and all these things can be an example for like others and just even for like my older self to look back on, like that's a
Yes.
win, you know, because you can only lead by example. So yeah, that's like my hope, hopefully.
That's very true. And it's so important. Like, even if people will say things like forever, like they will say things no matter what. And even sometimes when I'm like acting really positive and I'm trying to like, show like as you grow, like you want to help people. But
Mm.
sometimes like people that I'm around will like start making fun of me. They're like, why are you like saying like all this stuff about like self-love or like boundaries? And I'm like, because it's what it's all about. Like it's so important. I'm like, either
Literally.
way, people are gonna say anything. So like might as well just like, you know,
Period,
like
Lola.
so cool. Literally,
Yes.
like I'm sure even starting this, like you got some things that were just like, I don't know, like maybe people
Yeah.
doubting or
A
but
1000%. I feel like the biggest critique I get with the show is like, this is so funny you say that. It's literally the same thing. My
I just
friend
wanted to
actually,
ask you. Yeah.
yeah, this is wild. So my friend reposted the show on her Instagram and she told me that
Mm-hmm.
people swiped up and they were like, why is she talking about positive stuff? We want the drama, we want the tea. That's not what this is. Like, I'm not bringing
No.
people on to talk about their families. This is about us. They have enough space. Like, and it's not a bad thing on them. It's just they have their space. We don't. And so I
Yeah.
was like, people get mad when it's positive. They get, it doesn't attract the views
Yes.
when it's like uplifting. Like they want the tea. They want, oh, well, is this really true? Is this headline fake? Like, that's not my job to tell you.
You know what? That is so interesting that you say that because now that I think about it, like that's all that people want to like. A lot of people want to hear, which is so like it's so sad. I'm
It
just like, why
is.
can't people get excited for like people empowering certain people who don't really like who don't really have that mindset and people
Yeah.
who help certain people. Like I don't know why that's such like a common thing. It's just
It's
like loving
so
like drama.
common.
You know,
Yes.
have you ever loved like I don't really like watching a lot of dramatic things. Like it stresses me out.
Mm.
Like even just like I don't know, like even some just like reality shows that are
They're a
really
lot.
like they're a lot. I'm just like I don't even want to be reminded of any of that. I'm trying to get away from it, you
No,
know?
literally, especially with your mom on reality
Oh
TV.
yeah.
Yeah.
It's funny, like a lot of my friends are like, "Oh yeah, like have you ever watched like your mom on like Real Housewives or whatever?" I was like, "I haven't seen a single
Wait,
episode."
really?
But it's, yes, I literally haven't. I mean, obviously, I've seen like them film it, but like
Yeah, of
I'm just like, I don't
course.
even want to like, I don't even want to see because like I've always wanted to look at things that are more like like talking about positive things and not
Mm.
a lot of drama. I don't know if I'm
That's
the only one,
so
but
fair. That's literally so fair. I
yeah,
feel like I remember with this show too, like someone had told me they were like, well, if you're not attracting like a big enough audience yet, all these things, because it is still fairly new, they were like, you should think about like having them come on and bring on, they were like, you should bring on their family. And like, I'm like, first of all, how am I gonna, whatever, okay. But they're like, you should bring on their family and like, you guys should like debunk myths as like a section of the show. And I was like, you know what? I just firmly believe that like God will send the right people to me. And like, if someone, like, if only 10 people view an episode, but it helped them, that truly is a win. And like, I had to rewire my brain to think that because, you know, you're trained to see like numbers and views and likes, but it's like,
right.
it's not about that if they're all negative. Like, I want to uplift,
Good.
you know?
You know what? That's so beautiful that you say that. And like, I'm so like inspired that you say that because a lot of
Thank
people, like, all they
you.
want is just like all these views and everything. But what you're doing is so beautiful because all you want to do is help people and you want to
Yeah.
spread a message. And if only even like two people see it, but it changed like their day, that's all that matters, you know?
Totally,
So,
totally. And like selfishly, I think just the community that I was telling you this on the phone, like now we'll be friends like forever. Like if you need
oh, yeah,
anything, if I need anything,
totally.
like, I'll let you know, obviously. So it's just like, I don't know. Selfishly, that's also just been such a beautiful thing. Is like realizing like I'm not as alone in some of these thoughts I have. Like I'm
Yes.
not insane for thinking this way. I'm not, you know,
Yes.
crazy. So it's great.
No, definitely. I've
Yeah.
definitely that's something that really has helped me talking to you because, I've
Mm.
been the only one out of any of my friends who have had anything to do with,
Mm.
the industry and everything. And when I talked to you on the phone, I was like, oh my God, like somebody understands, like
Oh,
somebody gets like the feeling of
yeah,
being in like, the shadow and kind of just more pushed off because it's a very lonely feeling and it's
it
really
is.
hard to find people who can relate to you. And so that's why I think
Mm.
this is so beautiful because I'm just like, yeah, like it's so important to talk about these things and,
Yeah.
especially with people who really get it because, you can talk with people who like don't understand and they can help you, but it's like a different
It's
feeling when
different.
it's different,
It's different. It
So,
totally is. Well, I
yes.
appreciate you, Lola, so much. And I cannot thank you enough for coming on because you have just such a special place in my heart now. I just really
Oh, thank
adore
you.
you,
Thank
seriously. And
you.
like, we will talk all the time. Actually, y'all, we're both in the process of redecorating and
Oh,
slash
yes.
decorating for the first time our apartment. So I know we
We're
will
so
continue.
excited.
I like text Lola. I'm like, do you like this wallpaper?
I'm like, this is my new kitchen. So exciting though. It's so cool that that happened at the same time.
I
So
know.
yeah.
It's just truly divine alignment. But thank you so much,
Yes.
Lola, for coming
Of
on. We were rooting
course.
for
Thank you
you.
so much.
Of course, of course. We were rooting for you at all times. We will see you soon.
Thank you so much for everything. I had so much fun talking to you. So
Thanks,
yeah.
Lola. Are you not obsessed? Are you not thoroughly and utterly obsessed with this angel on earth? I told you, I cannot say it enough. I cannot say it enough. I'm obsessed. I think Lola is just, I mean, you saw it. I just think she's the epitome of like, let all you do be done in love because I admire that. The stuff that this girl goes through and she still has a heart that you saw just so pure, so soft, so honest. The honesty in this conversation, are you kidding me? Like, I'm truly floored. And I told her this after, like, I'm just so grateful for her. I think it's a great reminder for all of us that, like, we can always choose to show up with love and meet someone with compassion and empathy. It's a really, really hard thing to do. Like, I have to work on it truly I was going to say day, I'm going to say hour, every hour. And yet, she's just such a great reminder of how we show up when we do meet people with love and grace and compassion. So, thank you, Lola. Thank you for your honesty, your vulnerability. There is so much that she did not have to share, and she did. And I just thank her for that because it unlocks so much healing for the rest of us. So I love her. I love her so much. I love you all. Thank you all for tuning in. I hope you learned so much. Go back, rewatch, share, subscribe, do all the things. And I will see you soon for another interview. Mwah. Cheers to you. Yeah.
But he just started bringing up like, oh yeah, like so I heard like about your parents. Like, what was that like? And I'm like trying to like enjoy my time in Hawaii. I don't want to talk about my life story, but like, yeah.